My manager slid a demotion letter across the table like it was mercy. Basement office, pay cut. Public humiliation. What he didn't know was that the second he signed, he activated a clause buried in my contract that turned his power play into a financial detonation. If you love smart revenge stories where paperwork beats arrogance, hit subscribe now. You don't want to miss how this one escalates. My name is Rhea Collins. I was 35, Director of Vendor Risk at Halcyon Logistics, and at 9:41 a.m. on a rainy Wednesday, I was being methodically erased. The conference room smelled like lemon cleaner and bad intentions. Gavin Holt, my manager, sat straight backed at the head of the table, pretending this was procedural, not personal. HR was there too. Mindy Shaw, all pastel blazer and corporate therapy voice. Legal dialed in remotely, a junior associate named Evan Pike, who looked terrified even through a screen. "Rhea," Gavin said, steepling his fingers, "we're making a realignment. Your role has drifted from its core mission." Translation: I'd embarrassed him. Mindy slid the letter toward me. Demotion to senior analyst, loss of team, relocation to operations annex. The annex was a windowless bullpen near the loading docks. Careers went there to suffocate quietly. I didn't touch the paper. "Effective immediately," Mindy added softly, like she was talking to a dog with a bad hip. I nodded, calm on the outside, fireworks on the inside. Then I reached into my bag and placed a sealed envelope on the table. Thick paper, bank watermark. "Before we go any further," I said, "you should read this." Gavin smirked. "This isn't a negotiation." "I know. That's why this is going to hurt." Evan leaned closer to his camera as Mindy opened the envelope. The color drained from her face, in stages, like a bad signal. Rhea, this is an executive risk offset writer." Gavin frowned. "What the hell is that?" "It's a contractual writer," I said evenly, "attached to my employment agreement, notarized, escrow-backed, and triggered by retaliatory demotion following unresolved risk disclosure." Silence. Real silence. The kind that hums. Gavin laughed once. "You're bluffing." I slid my phone on the table and hit speaker. "Summit Harbor Trust, Fiduciary Services," a woman answered. Calm, professional, deadly. "This is Rhea Collins, account reference 8824. I need confirmation on trigger status." "One moment," she replied. Keyboard clicks. "Ms. Collins, your risk disclosure was logged 48 hours ago. Upon confirmation of adverse action, the escrow release initiates." Mindy's voice cracked. "Adverse action?" I finally picked up the demotion letter and tapped it once. "This." The woman on the line continued. "Upon verification, funds will disperse within 1 business day." "How much?" Gavin demanded. I met his eyes. 38 million. The meeting imploded. But to understand how we got there, you need to rewind 2 years, back to when Halcyon acquired Northspan Freight, and everyone was too busy celebrating to read the fine print. I was hired during the integration frenzy. Vendor risk was a mess. Hundreds of third-party contracts, overlapping approvals, zero oversight. I asked for protections during my offer negotiation because I knew what that chaos hides. "Draft something reasonable," legal said. Everyone says that when they're overwhelmed. So I drafted something precise. The executive risk offset writer did one thing very well. It punished retaliation. If I flagged a material risk over 5 million and the company sidelined me before remediation, an escrowed incentive pool, originally meant for integration bonuses, paid out to me in full. No approvals, no clawbacks, no delays. The CEO at the time signed it during a marathon doc signing session. The board approved the pool in bulk. The escrow instructions went to Summit Harbor. Then I waited. And I did my job, quietly, exceptionally, until I noticed Blue Peak Compliance Services. They billed us monthly for regulatory monitoring, 7 figures a quarter. No deliverables, no audit trails. The address traced back to a shared office in Reno. The registered agent, a holding company linked to Gavin's brother-in-law. I pulled the threads. Payments routed through cost centers designed to avoid flags. Invoices approved exclusively by Gavin. Internal emails instructing AP to bypass normal checks to avoid delays. Total exposure? 14.6 million. I filed a formal risk disclosure. Not an email, not a heads up, the real thing. Logged with audit, copied to legal, timestamped. That's when the temperature changed. My system access slowed, meetings disappeared, my calendar filled with alignment check-ins. HR asked about my communication style. Gavin warned me I was losing the room. I documented everything. When my parking access was revoked for maintenance, I logged it. When my team was reassigned without notice, I logged it. When Mindy suggested a development plan for issues that had never existed, I logged it. Then the demotion meeting was scheduled. I knew they'd do it. Men like Gavin always believe the company will protect them. They confuse confidence with immunity. Back in that conference room, Summit Harbor confirmed what Gavin didn't want to hear. Please have a company representative confirm the demotion. Mindy looked at Gavin. Gavin looked at Evan. Evan looked like he wanted to disappear into the drywall. It's confirmed, Mindy whispered. Thank you, the banker replied. The escrow release will process tomorrow morning. Gavin slammed the table. This is extortion. No, I said. This is math. They tried everything in the next 6 hours. Threats, bargaining, reinstatement offers. A VP title floated like a bribe in a bad movie. Too late. By that afternoon, I'd also sent a package to the Federal Trade Oversight Bureau. Blue Peak, the shell companies, the approval chains, all of it. Gavin called me that night from a private number. His voice was lower, meaner. You think you won, but you just made enemies. I had enemies the moment I did my job. Now they're just expensive. At 9:02 a.m. the next morning, my phone chimed. Deposit confirmed. $38 million. Halcyon's stock dipped before lunch. The board announced an internal investigation by mid-afternoon. Gavin was placed on leave by dinner. 2 days later, Blue Peak's offices were raided. Gavin's brother-in-law flipped fast. Apparently, loyalty has a price ceiling. The funniest part? Legal tried to argue my clause was unethical. The judge disagreed. So did the escrow bank. So did the board when they realized fighting me would expose everything. I walked back into Halcyon a week later, not as an employee, but as an external advisor, paid hourly, reporting directly to the board. Gavin was gone, Mindy transferred, Evan quit and sent me a thank you email. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. Because here's the truth nobody likes to say out loud. Companies don't fear whistleblowers. They fear paperwork that works. Gavin thought demotion was a leash. He didn't expect it to be a trigger. And the contract? It did exactly what it was designed to do. Sometimes the loudest revenge is a wire transfer that clears before lunch.